Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to ACC Live. Thank you for joining us. Our topic for today is staying safe during an emergency, tips, drills, and advice. Nick, do you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike. Hi, my name is Nick Caspers, and I am the Emergency Management Coordinator for ACC.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Garcia, Dr. Michael Garcia. I'm the Executive Director of Safety and Emergency Management. And so we want to talk to you about our emergency preparedness here at the college. We actually have Emergency Preparedness Week going on right now. And Nick, do you want to kind of give us an overview of Emergency Preparedness Week?
Absolutely. So it's a really good time for everybody to review our emergency procedures that are found on our website, as well as to go into RAVE to make sure that their contact information is correct. This week we had a couple drills throughout the campus, including evacuation drills, as well as a mass notification RAVE. So yesterday everyone should have received text and email, and today they would have seen other devices throughout campuses activated.
So Emergency Preparedness Week is done every semester. It's the third week of every semester, spring, summer, and fall. And we push out emails with details on what our Preparedness Week is going to look like and training opportunities. And so like Nick was talking about, we test our systems. We have drills, primarily fire drills during the week. And then there's opportunities to train. We have a lot of online training that we actually have in our email. So there's a lot of good information that the emails that Nick sends out to the entire college on Emergency Preparedness Week. What about tips for staying prepared, Nick? Anything that you wanted to share with the folks?
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of the most important tips for staying prepared is just reviewing those procedures, taking advantage of the active shooter training, and just have a mindset of situational awareness in terms of just being aware of what is going on and being able to know who to contact in emergency. Dial 911 from your cell phone, reach out to our campus police.
Yeah, so I'll add that this past fall, we actually implemented a new set of standard response protocols, and we've been reviewing that with folks in the college. And it's really important that you actually be familiar with our standard response protocols and you understand the actions to take. And so being prepared and knowing what to do during an emergency, the standard response protocols are really important on that. If there is an event here at the college, Nick will actually send out a message to the entire college, and it'll give you the location of the event, the emergency, what's going on, and then what our action is based on the standard response protocol. So that's really important. And also add that it's really important to have an emergency response plan here at work, to work with your coworkers in your office area, in your suites, in the classrooms, if you work in the library, for example, work with your colleagues on what you're going to do for specific emergencies. And then you can always translate that and take it home to your loved ones, working at home to make sure that everyone at home has a plan. You have a plan of action, what you're going to do, calling 911, all those types of things. So it's really good to do that. And then collaborating with your coworkers here is really important. I talked about that a minute ago, but it's really important that you share this information, that you collaborate with your coworkers, and that you familiarize yourself with the emergency equipment in your area. We have emergency equipment, emergency tools, first aid kits, those types of things. It's really important to know where they're at and know how to use them, and have information on those types of topics here at work and at home, for example. So the next topic, Nick, is what can we do now, or what can folks do now to be prepared?
Yep, I think as we touch base on, they can obviously make sure that they know and understand those training opportunities. We want to review those standard response protocols. And to Mike's point, whether it's for the employees to be collaborate with your peers and coworkers, if it's a student, your friends, and your teacher, just to maybe talk over what would you do in an event of someone having an injury, what would you do in the event of any of those standard response protocol incidents, so you have a better comfort in how to respond.
Great. And so I'll add that you can go visit our ACC Emergency Management website when you get a chance. We've got a lot of great information on that webpage. Our standard response protocols are on there. You can also go in, again, there's just a wealth of information on there. Our emergency operations plan is on there. So, kind of what to do if we have an active shooter event. Hopefully that never happens, but the training and planning that goes behind that is all on our website. And then I will encourage everyone to develop a personal plan of action, right? What are you going to do? Know the responses and then have a plan of action for here and for home. And then have an alternate plan, right? Because things change, things, especially during emergencies, don't always go as planned. So that's really important. Be ready to change those plans very quickly if necessary. And if different situations arise, be ready for that. And then lastly on this topic, what I'll do is add that also look into what you can do for training, right? For example, first aid, CPR, AED training. There are courses throughout the community. There are courses here at ACC that'll help you be able to respond to emergencies and help you on what you can do. And there's other preparedness courses that you can look into. We have them on our website and they're available kind of throughout. The state has resources. The federal government has resources. Just the only thing I would caution is make sure it's a reliable source that you're getting your training from and you're getting your information from. So those are kind of just a quick review of things that we can do. Looking at for questions. Okay, all right. So kind of some frequent questions that Nick and I get, and we kind of covered a little bit, but what can I do during this week is kind of a question that we get. Nick, do you want to cover that one?
Certainly. Depending on what campus you are and when you might have already got to participate in one of our evacuation drills. If not, I would take an opportunity next time you're in your classroom or office suite to review the emergency egress maps and the SRPs, which should be on posters throughout, just to get a good understanding. And the cool thing about that is once you learn that process, then whenever you go to another campus or area, you can just quickly review the map in that area and it will familiarize yourself with that standard response, looking for that emergency exit, where the AEDs are and where the rally point will be on your campus.
Great. And then so the next, what I'll add to that is there's emails that Nick puts out during emergency week, and there's a lot of good information on those emails that'll point you in the right direction as far as our standard response protocols, training, our emergency operations plans, and things that you can look into. And like Nick talked about, participating in drills is really important, so you know what to do. Understanding our emergency evacuation maps is really important. Knowing the layout, especially at your place of business where you work, your office area or your classrooms, and knowing where the emergency equipment is, right? That's really important. And always knowing when and how to ask for emergency help. Calling 911, those types of things. It's really important that we know those and we're prepared, right? Preparing is kind of the biggest thing for responses to emergency management incidents that we have. So you're looking for questions. So the next kind of frequently asked question I would say is, what can folks do to prepare? We covered that a little bit, but Nick, did you want to add to that, how people can prepare, especially this week and here at the college?
I think, definitely taking part in our drills. But then the best way you can prepare is through repetition. So whether it is in the onset of a team meeting or maybe a study breakout session as a class, just go over some mock scenarios, because no matter how trained, you could be former police, military, and you're going to have a level of stress when an incident happens. But the more you talk it over, that stress level is going to come up as your confidence grows. So just repetition.
Yeah, and I'll add being prepared, like Nick talked about, is really important. And our standard response protocols really give everyone a good feel and information on what the actions that we're looking for from our students and our staff and our faculty members during emergencies. So that's a very good process to look at, is the standard response protocols. And then I'll add that We do have active shooter training in Workday and available on our website, on the emergency management website. I will warn you that it does simulate an active shooter situation. There are simulated shots and folks yelling and those types of things. So just be warned that it does simulate an active shooter incident that's going on. So, but that's really good training for you to get prepared. Hopefully that never happens here, but we need to be prepared for that. So again, looking for questions and okay. And so kind of one of the final ones I have frequently asked, how can I ensure that my team is prepared? Nick, any information you want to share on that?
Yeah, and I think it goes back to being a safety advocate for yourself and our community. So just discussing the SRPs with your team. If they don't know where the emergency egress map is or where the AED and other emergency equipment is, be that advocate for safety for yourself, learn where it is, and then share it with your peers and friends.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, and the only thing I'll add is if you have regular staff meetings, is to make safety and emergency response one of your first topics, right? And you can kind of work through these types of responses and collaborate with your team on what your response is going to be. Where your safe place is. How are you going to respond, and then have plan A and plan B, and then talk to everybody about being able to shift their plans and make sure that they have alternative ideas on how to respond to emergencies. And Nick talked about this earlier. Situational awareness is really important. It's really important to know kind of what's going on around you, not just here at work, but also out in your daily lives, out in public, if you go to events and those types of things. It's just kind of being aware of your surroundings, of what's going on around you, making sure that you park in a well-lit area. Those types of things go really far as preparing and being ready for emergency response incidents that may occur. So let's see, questions. Do we have any more questions? Okay, so just kind of wrapping up. If anyone has any questions, you can put them on the chat. If not, I want to make sure that everyone is prepared for emergencies. Please look back at our emails. Please participate in drills and look at our emergency preparedness plans. And the standard response protocols are really important that we know those across the college. And so I thank you very much. Nikki, did you want to add anything in closing?
Yeah, just as I said, it's really important to think that to yourself, the most important thing at the end of the day is that you're going to go home to your family, to your pets, to whatever it is that makes you happy. So just have that mindset. And then if you can learn safety procedures along the way and educate people as you're getting to that position of safety, that sets you up for not only success here, but once you leave ACC as well, just to have that safety mindset.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so be prepared. That's kind of what it's all about, knowing what to do during emergencies. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your time, and thank you, Nick, for your insight and information on the topic. We do appreciate you joining us for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.